Hi, I'm Victoria. Building our dream home with Jack was supposed to be the pinnacle of our 3-year marriage. We both had visions. Mine was to create a space uniquely ours, a peaceful haven in the midst of life's chaos. Jack, however, always dreamed of a house filled with family and laughter, a reflection of his deep attachment to his family, which he valued even above security, especially given his unstable job history. Victoria, I can picture our future in these blueprints. Over here, a sandbox for the kids we might have, and there, a big table for Thanksgiving dinners, Jack said, his eyes lighting up with excitement as he gestured toward the empty space that would soon become our living room. I laughed, leaning on the makeshift kitchen island, imagining it covered in polished marble. I love how excited you are about this. I can't wait to cook in this kitchen. Just think of all the meals and memories we'll create here. As the construction continued, our excitement grew. We visited the site daily, watching as the foundation took shape and walls rose. Each visit made the dream feel more real. Jack would run his hands along the fresh drywall, envisioning the future. One day, we'll be sitting right here, watching movies on a big screen under a blanket, just the two of us, he'd say, pointing to the corner of the living room. And don't forget the dogs, I'd add, reminding him of our plan to adopt rescue dogs once we were settled. But it wasn't just about the house itself. It was about the stability and shared future it symbolized, something Jack had struggled with due to his inconsistent employment. Despite that, he was the dreamer, the optimist. Meanwhile, my background in accounting ensured that our dreams were grounded in reality. Our savings really paid off. Jack, we're actually doing this, you know? All those nights spent budgeting weren't for nothing, I said during one of our evening site visits, my voice echoing in the unfinished structure that would soon become our home. Jack pulled me close, wrapping his arm around me. I know, and I can't thank you enough for keeping us on track. This house, it's happening because of you. Victoria, you made it all possible. His words filled me with warmth, and I leaned into his embrace, feeling like, for once, everything was coming together. It was during one of these visits that Jack began talking more about his family, particularly his sister, Jane, who had been struggling since her divorce. Jane's been having a hard time lately. The divorce has really taken a toll on her, Jack said one evening as we watched the sunset from what would eventually be our back porch. I know, and I feel bad for her. Maybe we can help her out once we're settled, I suggested, thinking we could assist her in finding a job or a place nearby. Yeah, maybe, Jack replied, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice that I couldn't quite place at the time. I didn't realize then that this conversation was the beginning of a much bigger issue, one that would challenge everything we were building together. A few days later, Jack brought it up again. Remember what we talked about the other day, about Jane struggling? Yeah, I've been thinking, maybe we can help her out temporarily, give her some support until she's back on her feet. Jack hesitated. I was thinking of something bigger. What if we let Jane have the house? She and the kids could use it more than we do right now. I froze, my hand stopping mid-wipe on what would soon be our marble countertop. Let her have the house? Jack, this is our home. We've built this together. You can't be serious. It's just, Jane doesn't have anywhere to go, and with the kids, they need stability more than we do. I set the rag down, my hands trembling. But what about us? What about everything we've planned? You're acting like our dreams don't matter. It's not that they don't matter, Victoria, it's just, family comes first, you know? They're all I've got. And what about me? Am I just someone you can walk away from because your sister needs something? That's not fair, Victoria. I thought you'd understand. Family helps family. I do understand, but not if it means sacrificing our marriage, our future. Maybe this is a test of our marriage. If you can't support this decision, maybe we're not as strong as we thought. A test? You think threatening our marriage is a test? You're asking me to give up everything we've built. If you can't do this for me, for Jane, maybe we're not meant to be. Are you seriously saying you would divorce me over this? If that's what it takes to help my family, then yes. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. This wasn't the Jack I married. This was someone willing to throw away everything we had for something he had just decided was more important. You're willing to throw away our marriage over a house? It's not just a house, Victoria. It's a chance for Jane to get back on her feet. You're not understanding the bigger picture. The bigger picture, Jack? The bigger picture is our life. You're asking me to sacrifice everything for what? So you can feel like you've played the hero? It's more complex than that, and you know it. No, Jack, it's simple. You're putting your sister's needs before mine. Where does that leave us? What about me? I'm doing what I think is right. And what about my thoughts? Don't they matter? They do. But sometimes you have to make tough choices. Tough choices? This isn't about making hard choices. It's about you making decisions for both of us without even considering me as your partner. The silence that followed was suffocating. I looked around at the unfinished walls. The rooms meant to hold our laughter and memories, now just a battlefield of our crumbling dreams. Think about what you're really asking, Jack. You're not just asking for a favor. You're asking me to give up our future. For what? So you can relieve your guilt over your sister? Sometimes family requires sacrifice. Not like this. Not at this cost. Jack shook his head, turning away. Maybe you're right. Maybe this isn't going to work. As he left, leaving me alone amidst the dust and echoes of our shattered dreams, I knew this wasn't over. I couldn't let it end like this, not without a fight. This was my home too, and I wasn't giving it up without standing my ground. After our argument, the sense of betrayal gnawed at me, knowing Jack might actually go through with his threat. The next morning, I drove to my lawyer's office to explore my options. I need to secure the house. What can I do legally? First, we'll file an injunction so he can't give the house away without your consent. You might also consider filing for divorce if you think reconciliation isn't possible. I nodded, the weight of my decision sinking in. Let's start with the injunction. I need time to consider the divorce. Understood. I'll get the paperwork ready. Leaving the office, I felt a strange mix of power and sorrow. It was like taking control while losing something dear. I decided to change the locks. At the hardware store, I handed over the old keys, and my phone buzzed. It was Jack. Where are you? We need to talk. Not now, Jack. I'm busy. Busy with what? Don't shut me out. This is me taking care of myself because clearly, you won't. I ended the call, my hands shaking as I took the new keys. Back at the house, the locksmith replaced the locks, each turn of the screw making it feel more like my sanctuary. I walked through every room, imagining the changes I would make. This was meant to be our home, but now it was mine. That evening, Jack's car pulled into the driveway. He tried his key, frustration building when it didn't work. He knocked, then rang the bell, his desperation clear. Victoria, why doesn't my key work? What's going on? I opened the door a crack, the chain still latched. I changed the locks. Jack, you can't just give away our home without consulting me. This is ridiculous. You're locking me out of my own house? It's my house too. I'm protecting my rights, since you've shown you're willing to disregard them. Victoria, we need to talk. We can work this out. There was a time for that, when you still respected our partnership. You ignored that chance. I closed the door. The sound of his car driving away was both sorrowful and freeing. Inside, my phone rang again. It was my sister. Victoria, I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm getting there. I've taken steps to protect the house. It feels drastic, but it's necessary. You're doing what's right for you. Stay strong. I will. Thanks for being there. That night, I went to bed with a heavy heart but a clear conscience. I had set things in motion, prepared for whatever lay ahead, no longer a passive observer in my own life. The next morning, Jack showed up again, this time with Jane by his side. Their faces were etched with anger and disbelief when they saw their belongings outside. Why is all our stuff outside? What are you doing, Victoria? You can't just change the locks and throw us out. Actually, I can. I've filed for divorce. Jack, the house is mine now, and your things are outside because you're no longer welcome. This is insane. Victoria, you can't just kick me out of my own house. I have every right. Jack, you made your intentions clear, and now I'm making mine. This is extreme. Can't we at least talk about this? We're past that. Jack, you've made your choice, and now I've made mine. Jane, I'm sorry you got caught up in this, but I won't back down. This is about more than just a house, it's about respect and commitment, things Jack hasn't shown me. Victoria, please, let's just sit down and figure this out. There has to be a way. The time for that was before you threatened to end our marriage over this. I'm standing firm. But where are we supposed to go now? What are we supposed to do? That's something you should have thought about before trying to give away our home, Jack. This isn't just about me. I was trying to help Jane. Can't you see that? Good for everyone but me, right? No, Jack. All I see is betrayal. Victoria, I know this is hard, but we're still family. Doesn't that mean anything? Family doesn't threaten family, Jack. You've shown where your priorities lie. Now, I'm showing mine. I watched Jane pull Jack toward their car, her face a mix of frustration and sadness. They left, their shoulders slumped in defeat. A twinge of guilt hit me, but I reminded myself that this was necessary for my future and for my peace of mind. Once they were gone, I called my lawyer to update him. They came back, but I stood my ground. The locks are changed, and they've left for now. Good job, Victoria. You're not just protecting your property, you're ensuring you stay in control of your own life. I know, and I'm ready to see this through, no matter what. As I hung up the phone, I realized this was just the start. I had made my stand, and while the path ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: I was taking control, and I wasn't going to let that slip away. With the last box unpacked and the curtains finally up, I took a step back to admire the space. What was once a symbol of shared dreams now stood as a monument to my strength and independence. Wow, this place looks incredible now, doesn't it? You've done wonders, my mom said, smiling as she looked around. Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done this without your support. You know I'm always here for you, sweetie, and look at you now, running your own business right from this beautiful home office. It's been a journey, but I'm finally where I need to be. The online store has taken off more than I ever expected. As we talked, my phone buzzed with a notification: another round of orders had been shipped. My small business, built from my passion for art, had turned into a successful venture. Outside, the garden I had lovingly cultivated was in full bloom, filling the yard with vibrant colors. The house had changed, but so had I. Everything in my life had transformed. Later in the day, while I was tending to the garden, a familiar car pulled up. It was Jane. She got out, looking more subdued than I'd ever seen her. Victoria, I wanted to apologize for everything. We've both had a rough time. Jane, I know, this hasn't been easy for any of us. Jack was wrong. I was wrong for going along with it. Things haven't been great for us, and we've paid the price. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you understand now. It's important to make amends. Yeah, I'm starting to realize that. Jack, he's been struggling too. He's learned a lot from all of this. I'm sure he has, and I have too. Sometimes a crisis shows us what really matters. Exactly. I'm hoping we can move forward, not back to how things were, but to something better. I appreciate that, and I hope for the same. As Jane drove away, I felt a sense of closure. This ordeal had caused pain, but it had also brought growth. Inside, the house was calm, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun. I sat at my desk, reviewing my plans for the next collection for my store, when my phone rang. It was Jack. I heard Jane visited you. Yes, she did. She apologized. I'm not ready to face you yet, but I wanted to say I'm sorry too, for everything. Thank you, Jack. It's a start. It's all I can give right now. And for now, it's enough. After hanging up, I looked around at the life I had rebuilt from the ruins of betrayal. This house wasn't just a shelter anymore. It was a symbol of my perseverance, a place of creativity, and a space of peace. Now that the dust has settled, here's a question: if you were in Victoria's position, would you have taken the same actions to secure your future, or would you have sought a compromise to maintain peace with Jack and Jane? Would you prioritize your own well-being, or would you try to preserve family bonds when they're being tested? Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.